All right. This is gonna be. I tried to create a YouTube channel before, but didn't work out too well. So let's give this one more try. Um, I'm 19 years old. My name is Isaac Sotelo. Most of you that might watch this video, I don't know who's gonna watch this video. So most of you that might watch this video probably already know me, either from high school or wherever. But yeah, it's crazy how life works. How if as a 19-year-old you get undermined, you get underestimated very easily, so it can be frustrating sometimes to want to help someone out, or to think you have the right answer, or to do a 180-degree turn and expect people not to like look at you differently in a negative aspect. Like, I'm not even talking a positive aspect. So I'm just gonna cut the shit. Excuse my language, but man, oh man, where do I start? Ever since when high school started, things were fine technically, but I was already I never had like self confidence. I never had that like how like confident people just carry themselves like differently. I never had that. I never believed I was intelligent in elementary, middle school, and some high school. I was like below standards, but that's because I just didn't believe in myself. Like, if I'm being honest, I never believed in my I have never believed in myself until recently. Um, for almost all of high school, definitely sophomore through senior, I was smoking weed around every day, almost every day. If I could buy it and if I could have it, I would smoke almost every day. But what what did I hope to accomplish by that? To be honest, I don't know. Um, I think what happens is problems arise, life happens, self doubt happens, and then when if you start downward spiraling, I feel like it gets like really difficult to realize and stop an addiction before you think it's gonna be a problem, and before it already has a grasp on you. An addiction is, most would say, impossible to kick. Most would say an addiction is a lifelong struggle. Not anymore for me. I can say confidently now that because I've accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I'm good now. And and I know it's gonna be really weird, because if I do this consistently, and if I actually work hard, yo, things are gonna turn up for me. And this year, I know 2020 hasn't been a good year, but God doesn't God isn't like, oh dang it, like I didn't think this virus was gonna be made by the, I don't know, like, oh, God isn't surprised that this happened, like God has a plan for everything. God oversees everything. He's omnipresent, knows everything, knows everyone. Like, if you think religion is a touchy top touchy topic already, because if I offend someone, like that's you can't you almost can't do that, if that makes sense. Because if you offend someone, then you can get backlash if you're big enough. And if you get backlash, then that's how, I don't know, the society just, I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling now, but yeah, my testimony would be how I almost died. I almost died, and most people are gonna be like, "Oh, this feels like corny and shit," but ask my family, ask those closest to me. I was smoking so much to the point where I wasn't able to. I hadn't fat insomnia, but I'm talking about like, I was smoking. I wasn't even smoking like the flower. I was just using concentrate, which is like even worse because it's that much more potent. But I couldn't sleep for. I couldn't get decent sleep because I would sleep what, like, when you smoke you pass out, but like that's not quality sleep. Like, you your body needs REM sleep, and if you don't get REM sleep, and if you're not sleeping properly, and if your body's not rejuvenating properly, and if it doesn't get sleep, then some sleep deprivation is like, I don't know, it's nothing to take light of, but I was smoking so much that I didn't have the quality of sleep anymore. And it got to the point where my system and my body was so backed up, so clogged with THC in my system, my body, that I didn't have any quality of sleep. So what that did is it sleep deprived me. Um, had some bad experiences at school, doing some things, smoking at school when I shouldn't be smoking in school. I almost didn't graduate. I mean, I graduated. The only thing was I had my all my credits and everything. History, um, so the last economics or U.S. history, the last class you need to take for the history section in senior year, I passed with a D, but like, could I have passed with the B easily if I actually tried and wasn't smoking? Of course. But back to my, I kind of jump around at something that I just have, and sometimes I can't just follow through with the story perfectly. But that's simply because once I'm talking, other things get I get reminded of other things, and it's just how I am. So if you like it, cool, and if you don't, cool. I'm just trying to. I'm new to religion. I'm not like I've spent like 3 years, 4 years of my life devoted to Jesus Christ. No, like I'm talking about like max. Like if you want to exaggerate how much time I've invested, like max I can say 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Like you can even go 6 months. But that's like, if you guys, lots of people judge Christians or religion in general because you can't. Lots of people judge things that they've never tried. Like I'm gonna let's not even go too far. Like we don't let's not talk about religion. Lots of people judge sushi, but they've never tried it. So their own ignorance, their own inability to open up to something new, that in itself is a very difficult thing to overcome. I'm gonna try to cut this video short, make it less than 10 minutes, because I could just be talking for like 40 minutes straight. But my testimony is that I almost died. I had to go to the hospital because I I had a seizure, or I was compulsing, but that's because I don't even know, man. I believe, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know anything, but I believe that it was because I just had so much THC and so much weed in my system that I lost my quality of sleep. I wasn't eating because if I ate, then I was eating way too much. I gained like 20 pounds, and I was like in high school I was like 150, 160. So add 20 pounds. I lost a person I cared most about because of my addiction, because of the downward spiral, because I didn't have confidence in myself, because I wasn't responsible enough. But like I was like 14, 15, 16, 17. Like I don't think you're supposed to have everything mapped out by that age. So what I'm trying to get at is, yo, you guys have no idea like that emptiness you that's inside your soul, like it's something that's indescribable and incomprehensible to someone that hasn't dealt with addiction, hasn't dealt with loss, hasn't dealt with self-doubt, hasn't dealt with depression, actual depression, because some people just like to use depression as a label, and they crave attention. But I know what depression uphand looks like because family members close to me have had actual depression for 10 years plus. So no one can talk to me about depression. No one can talk to me about, like, if someone if everyone in the world just lined up and said, "Oh, Jesus Christ is not real," I'd be like, "Okay." To every single one in their face, I just look at them straight. But because I know I've had an experience with Jesus Christ, because I know that I was able to kick addiction, my addiction, the addiction that I didn't care who I was hurting, I didn't care how many times I would hurt them, I didn't care about anything. Like, it came to a certain point where I didn't think I was gonna graduate, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't suicidal, but I can't say I haven't had suicidal thoughts more than I've had them like once or twice, and that's just like a split second thing that like popped into my head. But I was so deep into smoking and into I was losing my family. I was losing so much for so little, and that's what addiction is: a short-term pleasure for a long-term um, negative effect on yourself or on others. And when I say addiction, I don't even mean, like, let's not even include drugs. You go shopping, eating, gambling, what relationships, that can be an addiction. Exercise can be an addiction, work can be an addiction. Anything that can be an addiction is something that gives you short-term pleasure in exchange for long-term negative effect. I don't really want to talk about the neuropaths and how it affects you, how sometimes drugs mimic certain hormones that your body produces when you have a hug from your parents, or when you have a hug from your loved one, or when you even have like so when you have contact with someone that you care about, like that releasing certain hormones, it does something to your body that drugs can almost mimic. So that's why I feel like addiction is a touchy subject. But yeah, I had to go to I had to get hospitalized, and thankfully, I mean, thank God that I didn't die. But who knows what would have happened if I wouldn't have found Jesus Christ. And because the scary thing is, like, my body was just like, yeah, that weed, that's like small time stuff. Like, my body was starting to crave something else, something stronger. What, I have no idea. But yeah, um I'll see what I can do with this channel. I just know I want to start a channel, and if I can just have like one person like take me at least a little bit serious and a little bit into consideration, like, yo, like, I'm golden. Because, man, the world is the adult world, the real life world is not an easy place to be in if you don't have certain foundations. Let's just set it at that. All right, like, subscribe, all that. Peace out.